Muan was an Egyptian mummy, but unlike the terrifying figures of legend, this one was small, cute, and harmless looking. The story begins with Sora, a high school student who lives with a woman, constantly busy with work in her room. One day, the doorbell rang, and when Sora opened it, a delivery girl stood holding a massive package. Inside was a large sarcophagus and a thick letter sent by his father from Egypt. The letter claimed that a friendly mummy was inside, but Sora doubted it. His father had a history of sending him dangerous items, a good luck charm that tried to stab him, a cursed doll, and even a supposedly protective figurine that caused trouble instead. Knowing how reckless his father could be, Sora feared this friendly mummy might be another threat. When the sarcophagus began to shake, Sora armed himself with an iron for protection. The lid opened, revealing a tiny, adorable mummy that shocked him. Despite its size, he kept his guard up, using a clothes hanger to push it back inside. But when he closed the lid, the little mummy began to cry. Sora wiped the tears from the floor. The mummy tried to help, but he stopped it from moving. It hid briefly, then returned, tapping on a notebook like it was a door. Not feeling safe keeping it, Sora told it to get back in the sarcophagus, but it refused. In its own way, the mummy expressed a desire to stay and help with chores. Sora explained that due to its small size, it wouldn't be able to do much, making its eyes fill with tears. He let it try anyway, but as expected, it failed, even wetting itself. Sora dried it with a towel. Now unsure what to do, Sora read his father's letter detailing what was known about the mummy and warning not to remove its bandages. He checked a book on mummies, but none matched this one. When it began crying again, he decided to keep it, but it needed a name. As he thought, his dog Buai came over for a hug, wagging his tail and barking. The mummy saw this, wanted the same affection, and even imitated the dog's bark. Sora was stunned. The mummy could bark. The small Egyptian mummy dashed towards Sora and jumped onto him. He tried to catch her before she could fall, but she quickly hid behind the hood of his hoodie. Sora placed Buai down to interact with her, yet the dog started barking in jealousy, forcing Sora to hold him in his arms. Noticing this, the mummy barked again to get Sora's attention, which made Buai angrier. Soon, both were barking at each other while Sora tried to calm them, wondering if they would ever get along. Suddenly, he remembered she needed a name and decided to call her Mai. The name filled her with joy, and she moved closer to Sora, rubbing her cheeks on him to show her happiness. Sora then taught her how to drink water, but she struggled and soaked herself again. He gave her water in a bottle cap, perfectly sized for her. Then Pochi drags over his food bowl, begging for dinner. But Sora freezes, worried about what on earth to feed Muan. While Pochi eats, Muan stares at him curiously. Sora cooks something, only to find her sneaking bites of Pochi's dog food. Horrified, he stops her and offers her vegetables instead. She rejects cucumber outright, but happily munches on apples and noodles. Sora scribbles down notes on what this weird little mummy actually likes to eat. Later, when Sora leaves for a moment and comes back, he finds Muan fast asleep. Next to Pochi apparently, they've become friends after all. At school, the next day, he excitedly tells his buddy Tazuki that his dad sent him a tiny mummy and invites him over. But when they return home, Sora panics. Muan has dried up completely. He quickly gives her water, and she springs back to life. Still, he's unsettled by how often she dries out. That mystery will have to wait. Sora introduces Muan to Tazuki, but she immediately hides, refusing to let anyone touch her except Sora. Later that day, when Sora heads for a bath, Muan insists on following him. She splashes into the tub, happily swimming around. But when Sora pulls her out, he realizes she's drunk way too much bathwater, which really annoys him. The next morning at school, Tazuki hands him a book. But when Sora returns home again, Muan has dried out once more. He pours her water to revive her, and this time, she's hungry. She clumsily reaches for a massive kitchen knife, way too big for her size. Sora makes her a mini knife instead, which she loves. She cuts vegetables happily until she slips and nearly falls. Sora rushes to catch her, but ends up with a small cut on his face. Muan bursts into tears, thinking she hurt him, but he reassures her. Hearing that, she rubs against his finger like a cat, showing she's back to her cheerful self. By dinner time, the smell of food even reaches Kaide in her room, where she's still working. Later, while Sora copies notes, Muan tries to help by flipping the pages, but accidentally crumples Tazuki's notebook. Sora makes her a mini notebook just her size. Right then, Tazuki shows up. Sora returns his notebook and goes to get snacks. Left alone with Tazuki, Muan panics, terrified of him. When Sora comes back, she's still trembling. Tazuki comments how tasty the snacks look, and Muan freaks out, thinking he wants to eat her. She bursts into tears, terrified. Tazuki only grows more curious, reaching out to touch her. In the end, Tazuki tricks Muan into coming closer and grabs her. Curious, he tries to unwrap her bandages to see what's underneath, but before he can, Sora hits him. For the first time, Sora shows how scary he can be, reminding Tazuki that these wrappings are like human skin. Removing them could mean losing Muan entirely. To fix things, Sora hands Tazuki some dog food, letting him use it to apologize. Muan cautiously approaches, takes the food, and rubs her cheek against his finger to show she forgives him. From then on, the two become friends, and Tazuki feels guilty for messing with something so cute. During tea time, Sora tells Tazuki that he wants to bring Muan to school, so she won't dry out. Tazuki laughs, thinking it's a joke, but Sora is serious. The next day in class, Muan squirms inside Sora's bag, distracting him while he studies. After class, Sora warns her that at school, she has to act like a stuffed toy. Muan promises to behave, but when Sora considers placing her on his desk, he sneezes loudly. A girl in their class, Aiza, notices and comments that she's never heard a stuffed toy sneeze before. Sora and Tazuki panic, but Sora quickly pretends the sneeze was his. Aiza grows curious and touches Muan, while Sora tries to cover it up by saying he'll lend her the toy. To make it believable, he rushes to create several copies of Muan, but by mistake, Aiza ends up taking the real Muan. Realizing this, Sora races to find her. During gym class, Aiza stashes Muan inside her locker. Muan, however, decides to escape, crawling out through a hole and into the ventilation ducts. There, she runs into a giant rat that immediately chases her. Meanwhile, Sora and Tazuki continue their search, even encountering a rat themselves. Still being chased, Sora scoops her up just in time, while Tazuki grabs the rat. At last, Muan is safe in Sora's arms, and he breathes a sigh of relief. Later, Aiza tells Sora she lost the stuffed toy he lent her. This time, Sora gives her one of the fake dolls, and she happily accepts it. The next morning, we finally meet the woman who lives with Sora. While Sora is outside taking out the trash, she notices a food container filled with dog food and questions why it's there. When Sora returns, she presses him about it. Embarrassed, he explains that it's for Muan. He then introduces her to the little mummy, revealing that this woman is actually his aunt. To Sora's surprise, his aunt isn't shocked at all to see a tiny mummy living with them. Instead, she gets excited when he mentions the coffin. Muan came in, hugging it with joy. She admits she has always wanted one. Sora, now late for school, rushes off with Muan, but soon collapses from a fever and stays home, isolating himself so he won't spread it. While sick, he tries calling his aunt for water but can't open the door due to his weakness. She ends up climbing through the window, wearing a gas mask for safety, while Muan sticks a plaster on her own face like a mask too. Confused, feverish, Sora kicks them both out of the room. His aunt decides to keep Muan close to Pochi instead and even gives the mummy Sora's handkerchief to keep warm. But Muan starts missing Sora so much that she hides her face and cries. In the meantime, Sora stumbles out of his room, burning with fever, to change clothes. Hearing Coyotes shout, he rushes over and finds Muan dried out once more. That's when the truth finally comes out. Muan dries up every day because she misses Sora so badly that she cries herself empty whenever he leaves her alone. Realizing this, Sora hugs her tightly despite his fever, unwilling to let her go. But he stumbled because of the fever. Now that Muan was with Sora, he was fine because he did not need to be away from him. After resting for a while, Sora woke up when Tazuki entered his room, carrying medicine and some food. Tazuki had to help because Coyote was sent back due to the workload. Sora asked Tazuki to feed Boy and Muan since it was close to dinner. While eating, Muan looked so cute at night. When Sora suffered from fever, Muan tried to take the cloth to wet it but fell. The little mummy was too small to carry it to the water bowl, so he climbed there and filled himself with water by falling into the bowl. The cloth ended up on Sora's forehead, and Muan repeated this through the night. The next morning, Sora woke up and held Muan to assure him that he was fine. However, Muan sneezed because he became sick from staying wet all night to help Sora cool down. Muan, now sick, was hidden under a blanket but asked Sora to take him outside. Sora refused because the cold might make him worse. Still, Muan walked toward the window, desperate to go out. Sora made a small scarf and a little hat for Muan so he could face the cold, both looking very cute. When the window was opened, Muan jumped out and walked toward the ground to dig. Despite his best efforts, it was not enough. Sora watched, confused about what he was doing. Luckily, Boy came and quickly helped by digging a hole. Muan ran and jumped inside it. Sora was surprised and unsure what to do next, but the cold weather made him sneeze. Boy pushed Sora back inside while waiting for Muan to return. Meanwhile, at school, Tazuki felt lonely without Sora and noticed someone following him. Back home, Sora waited a long time but Muan did not come out, and even Boy looked worried. Sora hugged Boy and wondered aloud what he should do now. This reminded him of his childhood when he tried to help a dying bird. Tazuki, always more mature, had warned Sora that he would be hurt when the bird died, and when it did, Sora cried until his father comforted him. Now, Sora was deeply worried, but suddenly Muan returned. It seemed Muan only needed a nap in the soil to recover, which made Sora very happy. Muan's stomach then rumbled with hunger, so Sora gave him food and watched the little mummy eat. That night, Kaede returned home with healthy food for Sora and Muan after hearing they were sick, and she cooked for them. However, when she wore her glasses, her personality became much more affectionate, though Sora found it a little frightening. Muan tried to remove her glasses but was caught by Kaede. At that moment, Tazuki entered, not even impressed, and jokingly dismissed her glasses. Later, they all enjoyed a nice dinner. When Tazuki was leaving, Sora thanked him for taking care of him while he was sick. Tazuki replied, "You are like family to me," showing how close their friendship had become. That night, Sora wrote about the little mummy in his notebook, while Muan slept wrapped in a blanket, looking very cute. As Tazuki walked home, he heard someone following him. He stopped and asked them to reveal themselves. It turned out to be a small Oni. Tazuki suddenly imagined Oni as it would grow up big and muscular standing beside him, which looked very funny. The contrast was too much for him. He kept walking, but Oni continued to follow. Tazuki told him to go away and pointed him towards Sora's house if he felt cold, giving him the directions. Oni nodded as if understanding and left. When Tazuki arrived home, he went straight to his room. As soon as he opened the door, he saw the poor Oni trembling outside near his window. He wondered why it came here when he had told it to go to Sora's house. Closing the curtains, he refused to let it in and told it to find another place. After taking a shower, his sister entered his room, asking for help with her homework. Once he helped her, he returned to his room and checked again, only to find Oni still there. This time, he decided to let it in. Oni looked exhausted. While Tazuki went to bring it something to eat, he found Oni already asleep in his bed. Tazuki pulled it aside, noting how dirty it was and saying it needed a bath. Oni then jumped into a hot teacup, thinking it would clean itself. Tazuki placed a cold cushion on it, calling it foolish. Later that night, Oni fell asleep beside him in bed. The next morning, Tazuki sent it out and told it not to return. During lunchtime at school, Tazuki told Sora about everything that had happened the night before when Oni followed him. Meanwhile, Muan enjoyed his lunch. Sora explained that Oni had been cast out after the last Setsubun festival and had been wandering alone. He encouraged Tazuki to let Oni stay, but Tazuki admitted that he sent it away in the morning and felt sad about it. To cheer him up, Sora shared some cookies with him. That night, when Tazuki returned home, he saw Oni again outside his window and let it in, but by the next morning, he sent it out again. Despite this, Oni kept returning, and even though Tazuki drove it away, he still gave it food. Why he pushed it away while caring for it was something yet to be revealed. Soon, his sister also learned about Oni and asked why he did not give it a name. The following day, Sora told him that Oni was now living with him, inviting Tazuki to bring Oni so it could play with Muan. Hearing this, Tazuki thought about Oni again, remembering how dirty it had been when he first found it and the scars that marked its body. In that moment, Tazuki recalled the time he first met Sora. Sora had been completely alone, and when Tazuki greeted him, he noticed the spirit creature by Sora's side. Sora explained that such beings recognized humans who could understand and trust them, appearing only when those humans were in need. That might be why Tazuki started to see these creatures more often. Earlier, he had come across an injured dragon and thought about treating its wounds, and now Oni was the one who began living with him. When he returned home, Oni seemed to be in a bad mood. He had found Tazuki's doll, waiting for him to see whose it was. Tazuki allowed him to take it, but Oni simply threw it away, feeling relieved that he was the only one close to Tazuki. The next day, Tazuki brought him to Sora's house so he could play with Muan, and this turned into their first play gathering. At first, Oni was frightened of Muan, running away whenever Muan tried to get close, but soon they began playing tag. Boa joined them as well, and the atmosphere became lighter, as if they were finally getting along. Muan had found a new friend, and the two spent their time together happily. Sora then asked Tazuki what name he would give the little Oni, since it wouldn't be right to care for him without one. After several failed attempts at giving him normal human family names, Tazuki decided on Koni. When Oni heard this, he gave Tezuki a big thumbs up, showing that he liked the name. To celebrate their new friendship, they decided to make sushi rolls. Muan, already skilled from helping before, shaped them with ease, while Koni needed some assistance. After a few tries, Koni proudly presented his best roll to Tezuki, asking for his approval, before placing it straight into his mouth. In the end, both Tezuki and Sora made sushi rolls shaped like Oni and Muan. Koni tried one and gave another thumbs up, while Muan's eyes welled up with tears of joy, and Sora comforted him gently. Later that night, when Tezuki entered his room, he found Oni sleeping with Muan's doll, the same one he had thrown away the day before. It seemed that he already missed his new friend, Muan, and looked adorable as he slept. Suddenly, he woke up, only for Tezuki to tell him it was time for a bath. Oni pretended to be asleep, snoring loudly, and when Tezuki told him to stop, he only snored louder. But the moment Tezuki called him by his new name, Koni, he immediately woke up and kicked at Tezuki's toes. That was when Tezuki realized that Koni simply wanted to be called by his name. He teased him a little, and Koni responded with another playful kick. The following day in class, Muan was looking through a picture book when he suddenly crawled out from inside the desk. Sora told him to stay hidden, so no one would see him. At that moment, Sora noticed a lizard on Tezuki's desk, and wondered why it was there. Tezuki quickly picked it up and said it wasn't real. It turned out to be another prank from a classmate, who wanted to see Tezuki's reaction to Muan's curiosity. During the break, Sora took the fake reptile toy, and Muan happily played with it, even wrapping it in bandages. Excitedly, he ran over to show Sora, but the bandages started slipping off the tail. He reassured Muan that it was fine, he just needed more practice. Meanwhile, the mischievous classmate was planning another prank but accidentally bumped into someone, dropping the toy lizard. It landed right in front of Asa, startling her so much that she screamed and ran away. On their way home from school, her friend asked why she was so scared of a toy lizard. Asa admitted that she hated lizards, even if they weren't real. That evening, Sora arrived home with Muan but couldn't find his dog. He checked his aunt's room and suddenly heard a sound coming from a box. When he opened it, he found Kit sleeping peacefully inside with Bois. Later, Sora told Muan that he was heading out to buy groceries for dinner and showed him the clock, explaining when he would be back. He asked if Muan could stay home without crying until then, promising to read him 2 bedtime stories that night. Muan imagined it happily and agreed, waving goodbye as Sora left, certain he'd return quickly. The scene then shifted to Asa, who had just arrived home. Inside, she found a note from her mother saying she had gone shopping. Asa went up to her room, only to freeze when she saw a small dragon standing there. She stared as it flew and then hid under her blanket, moving nervously at being seen. Asa convinced herself it was a lizard, and her fear overwhelmed her, bringing her to tears. The little dragon tried offering her a toy to calm her down, but she only grew more terrified, running and nearly tripping down the stairs. The dragon rushed to check if she was okay, but that only scared her more. She tried to tell her mother, only to remember she wasn't home. Seeing the dragon still following her, she panicked, throwing objects at it, even a large table. Thinking it was gone, she looked up only to find it standing beside her again. Her fear hit its peak, and she screamed. Sora was walking back from the store, checking the time, hoping Muan was doing fine alone at home. Suddenly, he heard a loud noise coming from Asa's house and wondered what was going on. Asa ran out in a panic and bumped into him, trembling so much she could hardly speak. Sora told her to take a deep breath and explain. She said there was a lizard inside and begged him to catch it. When Sora stepped into her home, he was surprised to see the whole place in a mess. Asa admitted that she caused it while trying to chase the lizard away. Sora moved toward a shoebox, thinking the lizard might be trapped beneath it, and felt sorry for it. Meanwhile, Muan was still waiting at home for Sora, unhappy about being apart from him. As Sora searched, he spotted something orange inside the box. When he pulled it out, it wasn't a lizard at all, but a small dragon. He asked Isa if this was the creature she meant, but she became even more terrified and collapsed. The dragon pointed at her, showing Sora that she had fallen down the stairs earlier while trying to escape, hurting her leg. Sora asked if her knee was injured, and the dragon looked worried for her. Asa remembered everything and realized the dragon had followed her because it was concerned about her. She apologized for how she had acted, and the dragon handed her a flower to show it was okay. At that moment, she hugged it tightly, thanking it for caring about her. On the way back to Sora's house, Isa walked alongside him and asked if Tezuki could join them. She wondered if Sora and Tezuki were close, and he explained that they had been childhood friends. He recalled how Tezuki always stayed by his side in middle school, helping him when he was alone, even if he seemed cold on the outside. By then, Muan had grown restless, waiting for Sora, and when Sora finally came home, Muan rushed toward him. But seeing the same stuffed toy Sora had brought to class, Muan hesitated, unsure if he should act like the toy or not. Tears welled up in his eyes until Sora picked him up gently to comfort him. Soon after, Sora explained everything to Isa while Muan and the dragon began to get to know each other. Isa was amazed, feeling like she was inside a storybook filled with magical creatures. Sora told her they were real, but they stayed hidden from humans because some people might try to hunt them. He warned her not to tell anyone. Muan and the dragon quickly became friends, playing together happily. When Tezuki arrived, Sora wanted to surprise him by blindfolding him, but the dragon spoiled it by showing up early. Sora laughed, saying that Tezuki had always dreamed of seeing a dragon. Sitting together, each with their spiritual companion, Isa offered the dragon meat, but it refused. She tried other foods, but it kept rejecting them. Just as she was wondering what to do, Muan gave it dog food, and the dragon ate it happily. The noise drew Sora's aunt, who was startled to see a girl with Sora, but paid no attention to the creatures around them. In the end, Isa decided to name the dragon Isa. The next day at school, Asa nearly slipped up while talking to her classmates and almost revealed Asa's existence. Sora and Tezuki felt relieved when she quickly stopped herself. Later, on their way home, Tezuki reminded her of the mistake, and she apologized. He reassured her, saying she could always talk to them about Isa. Overjoyed, Asa shared the sweet moments she had spent with her dragon. Sora suggested she join them during lunch to talk more about their companions. At home, Sora told his aunt that Isa and Tezuki would visit on Sunday, so their spiritual creatures could spend time together. That evening, Muan was lying on the table, acting oddly. His back was itching, so Sora scratched it for him. His aunt laughed, saying Muan was more like a younger brother than a pet. Sora recalled moments when Muan caused trouble, like answering a phone call by climbing on a desk or slipping in the bathroom after stepping on cleaning liquid. Despite these mishaps, Muan always looked endearing. Finally, Sunday came, and the little dragon greeted its friends with a hug, overjoyed to see them. Together, Muan, Koni, and Isa rode on the dragon's back as it flew across the room, leaving Tezuki in awe. Isa then revealed something special, a message written by Isa. Everyone was amazed at how smart the dragon was. Tezuki even began teaching it English letters, surprised at how quickly it learned. Soon, all their companions started exchanging little notes. Muan handed Sora a message, and Sora opened it with a serious face, only to smile brightly. It simply said, "We will always be together." Asa remembered the first time Isa gave her a note, thanking her for everything, which had left her stunned. Sora now understood why the dragon wanted them to handle the letters with care. Koni tried writing something for Tezuki, but instead of meaningful words, it looked more like the name of a food, making them laugh. Tezuki could only sigh, realizing his companion wasn't exactly the smartest of the bunch. Koni approached Tezuki and handed him a letter. Tezuki assumed it was a food order, but when he opened it, the letter said, "What do you think?" He jokingly replied, "I don't know," which only annoyed Koni further, and she began kicking him. Isa watched with slight concern, but Sora told her not to worry, explaining that this was simply Tezuki's way of showing affection. After lunch, Asa helped Sora wash the dishes, but they ran out of soap. She told him to fetch a refill from the lower cabinet. When she opened it, she discovered a hidden message from the little dragon. They realized their spirit creatures had been secretly leaving messages around the house. Tezuki had also found one from Koni earlier. Excited, they all began searching. At one point, Asa nearly opened a hidden room, but Sora quickly stopped her, warning that it contained dangerous items such as a doll. Instead, they continued searching other places and collected several hidden notes. While exploring outside, Koni pulled something from the garden, a mandrake, whose scream shook the air. Sora rushed over and quickly taped its mouth shut. Asa asked why he even kept such a thing, and Sora explained that his father had given it to him long ago. Its voice was powerful enough to destroy an entire city, yet his aunt used it irresponsibly as an alarm clock. Suddenly, the mandrake rolled away, smashing against a wall before escaping. They all chased it toward the river. Koni tried to help but failed, falling into the water. Muan also tried but slipped into the mud. Just as they were about to lose it, the little dragon swooped in and carried the mandrake back. Everyone praised the dragon, though Muan lowered her head and hid inside Sora's hoodie. Relieved, Sora returned the mandrake to the garden. Sora then noticed Muan, looking down, appearing troubled. Later, when Koni shivered from the cold and had a runny nose, Muan carefully covered him with a blanket and wiped his nose. Watching this, Sora recalled his aunt's words and realized Muan wasn't just cared for. Muan herself cared deeply for others. This truth had always bothered Muan, who wished to be the one looking after everyone. Sora smiled at this understanding, confusing Muan, who wondered about his sudden grin. That evening, after a fun day, the little mummy waved goodbye to the others. They all waved with both hands, but Koni stumbled and fell while doing so. Later, during bath time, Sora smiled as he saw the words "always together" written on the mirror by Muan. Meanwhile, in Isa's room, she thought of bathing but felt too tired. The dragon waited, wondering when she would decide, but ended up bathing alone because she took so long. When Asa finally suggested they bathe together, the dragon had already finished. Elsewhere, Koni nearly fell into hot water but was saved by Tazuki, who ended up soaked as well. Afterward, Koni was given his own bath. That night, Sora read a story to Muan, who began to cry while listening. At the same time, the dragon cared for Asa by placing a blanket over her so she wouldn't get cold, then lay down beside her. While Tazuki slept, Koni continued to annoy him until Tazuki hugged him tightly to make him stop, and Koni instantly fell asleep. In the next scene, a boy named D stood in darkness, terrified as massive monsters surrounded him. He tried to back away but was completely restrained, screaming louder until he awoke from his nightmare in the middle of class. Everyone stared at him, calling him scary. Feeling uneasy, he left the classroom, accidentally bumping into Sora and knocking him down. Meanwhile, Muan stared hungrily at the food on the balcony as she sat with Tazuki and Isa. Tazuki told her to start eating instead of waiting for Sora. Moments later, Sora arrived, carrying an exhausted D on his back. Tazuki joked, "That's quite a big lunch you have there, Sora," making Sora lose his grip and drop D, though Isa caught him just in time. While Muan calmly munched on an apple. They soon learned D wasn't allowed in the nurse's office after losing control earlier. When Asa placed a blanket on him, she noticed him trembling in another nightmare. He woke up screaming and almost struck her, but Sora saved her. Seeing D's injured hands, Sora tried to help but was warned away. This angered Tazuki, who confronted D, but when D met Tazuki's frightening gaze, he recoiled in fear until Sora stopped Tazuki in time. D left once again, uncomfortable and confused, and the others could only wonder about his condition. Later, Sora went to D's class to check on him. When D came out, Sora handed him a bandage and invited him to walk home together without even asking his name. Sora soon discovered D lived alone in an apartment, struggling with violent nightmares since elementary school. D showed him the protective charms he used to ward off bad dreams. Inspired, Sora took D home, where he removed the charms covering the windows and told him he didn't need so many. He then gave D a drawing of Baku, a mythical dream eater, and told him to keep it under his pillow, even if Baku was only a legend. That night, D placed it under his pillow, only to awaken in shock as Baku appeared, actually eating his nightmares. Frightened, he called for Sora, who rushed in with Muan. To his amazement, Baku was real, soft, and fluffy. Sora praised it and handed it to D, who also felt its softness. D asked if the idea of eating nightmares was just a metaphor, prompting Sora to reveal that these creatures were truly real. The next day on the balcony, Sora told Tazuki and Isa about Baku, while Muan happily ate noodles. Isa was thrilled and wanted to see it. When Sora told her it was resting with a pillow, they tried visiting D's class, but he was absent. The same thing happened the following day. Concern grew, but 3 days later D returned, freshly groomed, explaining he had finally been sleeping peacefully. He apologized to Asa for nearly striking her, but she told him she understood. She invited him to lunch, and he accepted. Later on the balcony, an awkward silence hung between D and Tazuki as they waited for Sora and Isa. Tazuki reintroduced himself, asking about D's condition, and slowly broke the ice. When the others arrived, Muan tried to get them to play a game, barking until they slapped each other's hands. They both complied, and Muan barked again to end it, making everyone laugh together. Soon after, Muan, Isa, and Koni met Baku. They tried climbing on it, but Baku tossed them off indifferently. When asked if he had named it, D said he called it Mukoku for now until he thought of a proper name. As they all sat on Baku, it suddenly darted forward at incredible speed, making D note it moved faster than sound. Suddenly, Boy appeared, and Sora began snapping photos of all the spirit creatures together as they slept. The next day, D approached Sora and thanked him sincerely for being a supportive friend during such a difficult time, crediting Baku with ending his sleepwalking and nightmares. A few days later, D asked Sora how Baku managed to enter his locked room while he was asleep. To find out, Sora stayed over. They placed Baku outside, locked the door, and let D fall asleep. Just as Sora was about to sleep, He saw D walking in his sleep, unlocking the door himself, and then returning to bed. Baku slipped inside and began eating his nightmares. Sora wondered how D could walk in his sleep, so he asked if Baku was the one controlling him. Baku confirmed this by making D dance in his sleep, and Sora realized in shock that Baku had been behind D's sleepwalking all along. The next day, while Asa was hurrying home with the idea of meeting the dragon, she overheard two men speaking about a child Oni who had been found during Setsubun and was now being searched for. When she arrived home, she carried the dragon in her arms and noticed Koni was also there. Later, when they gathered, Isa told Tazuki that Koni had come over to play with the dragon alone. She warned that this could be dangerous if he kept coming by himself, since those men were looking for Oni. Tazuki suggested they find a temporary guardian for the spirit creatures and place the children somewhere safe before heading to school. Sora told them he had someone in mind who could watch over the creatures while they were at school. Meanwhile, Oni played tag with Baku and the dragon, which clung to D's face and knocked him over with Muan. The next morning, they arrived at the place Sora had chosen and gave thanks to a talking statue for accepting their request. Isa and D were surprised that the statue could speak, and Sora introduced it as the old grandfather who lived in the shrine. Isa asked Tazuki if he knew the statue, and he confirmed it. The statue then revealed that Sora and Tazuki had once helped him wash his back and complete other chores. Embarrassed, Tazuki quickly silenced the statue. D began speaking with the statue, but suddenly Baku appeared from behind, frightening him. Meanwhile, Koni had struck the grandfather's head, earning a scolding. Just as they were about to leave their spirit creatures at the shrine, someone appeared behind Sora and took him away, terrifying the others. As he was pulled deeper into the shrine, they rushed to the door, only to find Sora calmly enjoying a cup of tea inside. He explained that the woman before them was the caretaker of the shrine. As they expressed their gratitude, Tazuki and Kana joined them, and together they all enjoyed tea. The caretaker promised to watch over their spirit creatures while they were at school, so they left. During their school break, they found themselves wondering what their spirit creatures were doing at that moment. After school, when they returned to the shrine, Isa hugged the dragon, showing how much she missed it. Muan ran straight to Sora, while Koni continued playing with Baku. Sora noticed how bright and lively Muan looked compared to how dry and weak she seemed when apart from him. The next morning, Sora left Muan with the other creatures at the shrine before heading to school. While Muan waved him goodbye, all the spirit creatures played under the shrine keeper's care. However, while chasing Koni, Baku bumped into the door and left it slightly open. Muan noticed the open door, grew curious, and discovered an insect crawling nearby. She stepped outside, letting the insect climb onto her. The shrine keeper noticed the door ajar and closed it again, leaving Muan outside. She tried knocking on the door but was too small to make any sound. A passerby noticed something and stopped, causing Muan to hide. Suddenly, Oni appeared, startling Muan and making her run away. He stopped her and asked if she was lost and alone. Muan misunderstood his gestures, thinking he was asking if she was leaving, so she nodded, and Oni took her with him. Oni carried Muan deep into the forest. She looked back toward the shrine, realizing she was walking in the opposite direction. Though confused, Muan followed him. Meanwhile, back at the shrine, the other creatures slept, while the shrine keeper counted them and realized one was missing Muan. As she followed Oni, Muan saw a beautiful white fox pass by, then a spirit creature floating in the sky, followed by 3 spirit children laughing together, their backs shining brightly. She was amazed at the sight. Oni then led her inside a hollow tree. Inside, he brought water and a cloth to clean her back, and Muan, in turn, cleaned Oni, which made him feel safe. She asked if he lived there alone, but Oni misunderstood, thinking she was inviting herself to stay. He suggested she remain there until the rain stopped, but Muan thought he meant she could never go home again. Afraid, she began to cry. Panicking, Oni brought out glowing mushrooms to light her way out of the dark forest, but Muan thought he was offering her poisonous food. Thunder roared, and Oni trembled in fear, drawing close and rubbing her back, which made her blush. Looking outside, Muan tried to explain herself, and at last, Oni realized she wasn't truly lost. She only wanted to return to the shrine. Seeing her sadness, he promised to take her back. Muan brightened with relief, happy that he finally understood what she needed. And Oni stepped outside and saw a beautiful rainbow. Back at the shrine master was still searching for Muan, while the talking statue also looked sad, unable to find her. Just when hope was almost lost, the shrine master suddenly felt Muan's presence. She was running toward him, and when she leapt into his arms, the shrine master held her close with great joy at her return. Muan then said farewell to her new friend and left Oni behind. After school, when Sora came to pick up Muan, the shrine master told him everything. Sora then reminded Muan not to go out alone again and asked if she had thanked Oni for bringing her back. Muan shook her head. That night, the white fox told Oni there was something waiting for him near the shrine. Oni hurried to the shrine and found a letter from Muan left for him. Meanwhile, Muan lay awake, wondering if Oni had received her message. Indeed, the letter appeared on Oni's wall with Muan's words of thanks, which made him smile. The next scene showed Tezuki drying his hair with a towel after a bath. His sister came in and asked if that stupid pig had been with him. Tezuki asked what had happened. She told him that Koni had eaten her cakes again. While Koni was sleeping carelessly, she cried, saying Sora had made those for her and that she had been planning to eat them after school. Tezuki wiped her tears and promised to ask Sora to make more, but she answered that she could forgive Koni once or twice. This was the 9th time. Tezuki was stunned while Koni kept on sleeping. Later that night, Tezuki tried to explain to Koni that what he had done was wrong, but Koni refused to listen, which only fueled Tezuki's anger. He told Koni to leave his house since he was always causing trouble. Koni began remembering the times people threw stones at him, leaving him lonely, and now he felt the same way again. Pretending not to care, he closed his eyes and slept. The next morning, Tezuki woke up to find Koni gone. At school, during break, everyone was talking about their spirit creatures. D mentioned how Muan always wrote, always together, on the apples. D asked if it wasn't a little scary that Muan kept writing the same words over and over. Sora explained that Muan had only learned those letters and memorized them like symbols or pictures. That day, Muan also explained to the dragon what she wanted to write, and the dragon turned it into letters so she could copy them. While they were talking about their creatures, Tezuki seemed distracted. Sora asked what was wrong, and why Koni hadn't come to the shrine that morning. Tezuki told her that Koni had gone somewhere, as he always did whatever he wanted. Later, when Tezuki arrived home, his sister told him she had made rice cakes for Koni because she had been too harsh with him the day before. Concerned, Tezuki checked his room, thinking Koni was playing a prank and hiding somewhere, but he was nowhere to be found. Night came, yet Koni had still not returned. Tezuki wondered if he had truly left and felt regret, realizing he had been trying to push Koni away since the beginning. The following day, Sora asked Tezuki if he was alright, noticing he looked sleep-deprived. Later, he dropped his notebooks and even ordered the wrong drink from the vending machine. He seemed so lost that his classmates had to tell him he was holding his book upside down. Meanwhile, Muan was using paints with the dragon and Baku to write something. Tezuki confided in Sora that Koni had not returned home since the day before. Sora suggested they search for him, but Tezuki insisted there was no need, saying Koni was fine on his own. Still, Sora could see his worry and agreed to help look. At the shrine, Muan tried to act like Koni so everyone wouldn't miss him so much, but it was difficult to cheer them up. Later, everyone gathered with Tezuki and suggested searching for Koni together after school. Tezuki recalled his past, when he tried to save a dragon as a child from a man who wanted to hurt it. Yet, the man found them and attacked, leaving Tezuki haunted by the memory. Driven by those thoughts, he began running to find Koni. At the same time, Sora and the others reached the shrine and told Mikan and the rest that they were searching for Koni, assuring them they would bring him back. Meanwhile, Tezuki kept running, reflecting on his bond with Koni. He remembered the comfort of having him at his side, despite all the trouble Koni caused. Suddenly, Sora appeared, and together they finally found Koni. They rushed after him, but he was too fast for Tezuki to catch. Koni escaped, and soon after, Tezuki saw him running along the road. Sora chased after him, but the child Oni turned out not to be Koni. At the same time, Muan painted Koni with her colors and wiped her tears, while the dragon comforted her. In the end, Tezuki discovered Koni stuck in a wall. He gently helped him out, bringing him safely back again. Sora arrives, and tells Tezuki that the lonely child they were chasing wasn't actually Koni. Issa and D appear with tears in their eyes, showing Koni's torn pants, explaining that they found them near the river, but Koni himself was missing. Sora suggests searching the area again, but Tezuki stops him and reveals that he already found Koni. Everyone looks at Koni with joy in their eyes, relieved that he is safe. Koni stands holding a flower in his hand, still without pants. Sora asks Issa and D why they are wet, and they explain that they jumped into the river while looking for Koni. Tezuki thanks them for their help and admits that he should rely more on his friend. Back at the shrine, they are surprised to see a picture created by Muan and the others, symbolizing unity, just like Muan often writes in his letters. On the way home, Tezuki recalls how taking food without asking makes his sister sad. He also remembers his past, when he once tried to save a dragon but suffered trauma that left him hesitant to keep a pet, fearing he might fail to protect it one day. But now, he realizes he cannot live without Koni, and he promises to stay with him happily and always help him. Meanwhile, Koni remembers the times when people threw stones at him, leaving him lonely, and also recalls seeing a girl holding hands with her mother. Wanting that same warmth, his eyes fill with tears. Tezuki reaches out his hand, offering the bond Koni had long desired. When they arrive at Sora's house, they find a letter from his aunt along with a box. The letter explains that she is away for work and that the box was sent by his father. Suddenly, the box begins to shake, worrying Sora and Muan, who fear that his father might have sent something dangerous again. At that moment, the doorbell rings. It is Tezuki and Koni. Instead of opening the door, Sora tells Tezuki through the phone to come later because he is busy. But Tezuki goes to Sora's backyard and insists on entering, saying that Sora always keeps him outside whenever his father sends something. Sora lets him in, but the strange box still worries them. With caution, Sora and Koni prepare their weapons for protection. Sora insists that Tezuki take the children outside because it might not be safe, while he opens the box himself. A black mist escapes, glowing eyes staring at them from within, questioning why Sora is ready to attack. As the mist clears, they see it is a speaking Anubis statue. Sora asks if it will attack them, and Anubis replies that Sora just looked aggressive. Anubis talks at length, revealing that Sora's father struggled to choose a gift for him, since Sora had always feared things like scary dolls. This time, his father wanted to send something he thought Sora might like. Through this, Sora realizes how much his father cares for him. Then, Anubis notices the small mummy and asks about it. Sora introduces Muan, who trembles in fear. Anubis says Muan can't possibly be a mummy, as the ones he knew were all shriveled. Suddenly, Anubis shocks everyone by putting Muan in his mouth to check. He reassures them, saying his toys are known for kindness, and though Muan initially struggles, he begins enjoying it. Eventually, Anubis releases Muan, but Sora still feels uncertain about Muan's true identity. Anubis remarks that Muan is no ordinary mummy, and then adds that he himself is not ordinary either, claiming he can predict the future. He says it will rain tonight, but the rain has already started, and then he adds that they will have curry for dinner. They quickly realize his predictions are nothing more than simple observations. Now, as Sora watches Muan happily playing on Anubis's back, he says that Muan has already become Anubis's friend. Just then, Tezuki looks inside the box and finds another letter and an item at the bottom. Sora stops him, worried it might be dangerous. Anubis explains it is sand from Egypt, sent by Sora's father. Carefully, Sora puts on gloves and pours the sand into a container, fearing it might hold something poisonous, but it turns out to be ordinary. Muan looks delighted, knowing the sand is from Egypt, his home. While Koni stirs the container and causes a commotion, Muan wants to play with it, so Sora places him in the sand, and dust rises onto his face. Watching the cute little mummy enjoying the sand fills Sora with happiness. Later, Essa and D arrive at Sora's house, and Sora says he wants them to meet a new friend. At that moment, they see Boy pulling Anubis by a rope while playing, but suddenly, Boy stops, causing Anubis and Muan to crash into the wall. Afterward, as all the creatures gather around Anubis, Essa becomes frightened when she sees him chewing on her dragon. Sora explains that he is only nibbling on it because he enjoys biting things. Anubis then tries to touch Baku, but Baku feels uneasy and lands on the sofa. Now, Baku and the dragon rest to the side while Muan and the others continue playing with Anubis. Sora and his friends also enjoy their time together. Little Muan stands on Anubis and slides down his back. Sora compliments Essa, saying her hairpins look beautiful on her. Tezuki thinks that Sora says whatever he likes without embarrassment and remembers how he even compliments Tezuki at times, wondering if there is anything that could make Sora feel shy. At that moment, Sora suddenly begins hiccuping, overwhelmed with embarrassment, and tries to leave. D hands him water to drink. Meanwhile, Muan and the others play ball together. Tezuki mentions he once heard that if someone gets 100 hiccups, they could die. This frightens all the creatures, and Muan almost starts crying. At that moment, Sora notices Muan's hand bandage coming loose. He rushes toward Muan, accidentally splashing Anubis. While doing so, he reaches to remove Muan's bandage, but Muan jumps onto Boy's back, and Boy quickly carries him away. Sora tries to chase after them, but the dragon and Koni block his way. They see Boy holding Muan, who struggles to pull off his bandage. Watching this, Tezuki recalls the time he once tried to remove Muan's bandage to see what was inside. Now, Muan himself is attempting it. Tezuki sees this as the perfect chance to uncover what lies beneath. He restrains Sora from behind to stop him from interfering. Issa notices and rushes toward Muan to prevent him, but instead, she loosens the bandage even more. Sora begs Tezuki to let him go, but suddenly, a strong light fills the room. Sora manages to break free from Tezuki's hold and shouts loudly, making Muan and Boy stop running. He tells Muan he must never remove the bandage because something terrible might happen, remembering the warning in his father's letter not to do so. Muan nods with teary eyes, jumps off Boy's back, and runs into Sora's arms. Essa asks why Muan wanted to remove the bandage, but suddenly, all the spirit creatures start hiccuping together. Issa realizes this was how they stopped Sora's hiccups, and all the creatures nod. Tezuki explains that dying from 100 hiccups is only a superstition. Relieved, Muan runs into Sora's embrace with tears in her eyes. Now Sora begins wrapping Muan's bandages again. At that moment, Essa says they should leave since it is getting late. Sora carries Muan, fully wrapped in his hand, saying it is time to say goodbye to everyone as they head home. Essa remarks that all the creatures are spirits, except for Boy, who is just an ordinary dog. But Sora insists Boy is no ordinary dog, saying he can live 100 years and is already 50. The next day, one of Sora's classmates shows a picture of a unique-looking dog. The dog was bleeding and found near the mountains, but disappeared quickly. The scene shifts to the balcony. Sora and Tezuki realize it might be a spirit creature, but remain silent. Later, everyone gathers around the table and decides to search for the spirit creature in case it is injured. That night, Sora plays with little Muan, who sleeps beside him, when Anubis suddenly appears, saying he wants to watch a foreign drama. Sora turns on the TV for Anubis and sits with him for a while. The next day, Muan does not want to leave Sora and go to the shrine with the others. She had woken from a nightmare and found Sora missing, leaving her frightened ever since. She wants to stay with Sora, so the shrine master places a mark on her back. The grandfather statue explains that this mark will help if Muan ever gets lost. After school, they head toward the mountain to search for the injured spirit creature. When they reach the stairs, they face a fork in the path and decide to split into two groups. Tezuki and Essa take one path, while D accompanies Sora on the other. Sora and D begin searching, while on the other side Essa calls out to the spirit creature by name. Tezuki tells her they should head back since they found nothing. They reunite with Sora and D, but no one has found any creature. Suddenly, Sora senses something unusual, and Tezuki points out that the two paths have merged into one. At that moment, they hear music, and everyone is puzzled by the festive sound. The music sparks memories in Sora of when Tezuki once refused to go with him to the Spirit Masters Festival, suggesting they play with humans instead of spirits. This surprises Sora and explains why they never attended the festival. He realizes it is now time for the festival again. Sora warns them that entering the Spirit Masters Festival without an invitation is forbidden. Suddenly, spirit guards appear, checking invitations and asking for theirs. Sora approaches and explains they got lost and ended up here. The guard realizes they have no invitation and transforms into a monster, declaring they must face punishment. Terrified, the group freezes, and Muan hides in Sora's pocket. Sora offers himself for punishment if the guards spare his friends, but Tezuki grows angry, demanding to know why. The creature finds Sora amusing but refuses to respect him, grabbing him in its hands as other guards seize the group from behind. Just as punishment is about to fall, Muan leaps forward with the invitation from Sora's pocket, landing on the creature's head while barking loudly. The monster reverts to its normal form, telling Muan that if she had presented the invitation earlier, none of this would have happened. Suddenly, Tezuki rushes to Sora and punches him, saying he always acts on his own before running away. Sora chases after him, wondering why he reacted like that and if he had done something to upset him. At that moment, a spirit creature named Yamada appears, recognizing Sora well. Yamada hugs Sora tightly, while Muan tries to intervene since Sora feels uncomfortable. Sora then realizes that the invitations they gave the guards were the ones Yamada had given him earlier. He asks Yamada if he has seen the injured spirit creature called Inugami. Yamada replies that he knows where Inugami is and will guide them. He explains that Inugami is no longer hurt and that there are actually two of them who are always together. Not long ago, one was injured and seen by humans, but the other arrived just in time to save him. When they see Inugami, the red one bites the blue one and pushes him away before fleeing in one direction, while the blue one runs in another. Watching this, Sora and Tezuki recall their own conflict and decide to confront the situation. The blue Inugami sits crying beside Sora, and little Muan goes to comfort him by patting his head. Sora asks if he is crying because he hurt his friend, and Inugami nods. Sora tells him that he too once hurt a friend, but now he understands he must make it right. Meanwhile, Tezuki chases the other Inugami, who kicks a tree in anger and pain. Tezuki stops him, saying that hurting himself will not solve anything. He shares that sometimes they also feel the same way when they are in pain, and tears fall from Inugami's eyes. At that moment, his friend arrives and leaps onto him, and both Inugami rejoice together. Sora and Tezuki smile as well. Now, a man presents his invitation and enters. The guards notice blood on it and realize he is a collector. Meanwhile, Sora asks Tezuki why he refused to attend the festival before, urging him not to get involved with such creatures. Tezuki finally reveals that in the past, he once tried to save a dragon from a collector, putting his own life in danger. He admits that what he truly fears is that if Sora were ever caught in a similar situation, he would not be able to endure the pain of losing his friend. Hearing this, Sora's eyes fill with tears. Suddenly, the sound of drums echoes around them, and all the spirit creatures begin moving toward that direction as the festival begins. Tezuki tells Sora to hold onto his shirt so that he won't get lost in the crowd, reassuring him that he will never leave him alone. Later, they reach the waterfall, where Yamada explains that its waters purify both body and spirit. Inugami jumps into the water to enjoy a bath with his friend, while Sora places Muan near the waterfall, watching Inugami climb the rocks. But suddenly, someone seizes Muan and takes her away. Guards arrive and ask if they have seen a suspicious man in the area. It is then that Sora realizes Muan is missing. He shouts her name and rushes off to search for her. When Yamada asks where he is going, Sora answers that Muan is gone and he cannot find her. A guard then tells them that a human entered without an invitation and may have taken Muan. Devastated, Sora fears he will lose Muan forever. Yamada assures him not to worry, as the guards will find her and bring her back. But D reminds them of the mark placed on Muan by the Shrine Master, meaning they can locate her. Realizing this, Sora begins shouting for Muan. On the other side, the collector holds Muan tightly. Muan trembles in fear, as the man says he will earn a fortune thanks to her. He tries to undo the bandages to see what lies beneath. The protective mark begins to pull away, carried upward by its thread. Tezuki calls for everyone to look above, but no one else can see it near the waterfall. Only Tezuki, with his sharp vision, can see the mark high in the air. Sora asks Yamada for the direction to reach it, but Yamada explains the path is too long. Determined, Sora decides to climb the rocks beside the waterfall to reach Muan quickly. At that moment, Essa offers to help by throwing him upward. Sora runs to her, and with her strength, she hurls him halfway up the cliff. He begins climbing eagerly, desperate to reach Muan, but as he steps onto another rock, his foot slips, and he begins to fall. Everyone gasps in shock, but Inugami leaps forward just in time and saves Sora from falling. Together, they continue the climb, pushing upward toward the top. When they finally reach it, Sora thanks Inugami. Now they spot Muan's mark, and the collector cuts the thread to break it away. Muan tries to escape, but the collector grabs her again. At that moment, Sora arrives and demands him to return Muan. Despite his injuries, he groans in pain but refuses to back down. The collector silences him by pressing harder. Sora leaps toward him, trying to take Muan back, but the man shoves him aside, declaring that this creature will bring him wealth. Sora shouts that Muan is his family, not something for sale. Suddenly, the voice of the Spirit King resounds, calling the collector a foolish human who must face punishment for his sins. Roots burst from the ground, wrapping tightly around the man. A dark cloud gathers, and a bolt of lightning strikes Muan, sending her flying into Sora's arms. The collector is left unconscious on the ground. Relieved beyond measure, Sora holds Muan tightly. The collector is captured, pleading for release. Spirit creatures approach with gifts, and Yamada explains that they are for Sora, the hero who caught the thief. Muan also receives a gift that delights her. Later, Sora presents a gift to the Shrine Master. When she accepts, she blushes, and Sora thanks her for the protective mark on Muan. Meanwhile, Essa notices Koni hitting Tezuki, who still wants to play more. Sora then suggests they all gather at his home. Inside, Kaede greets them warmly. D, surprised, remarks that she looks like a model and says he admires her. Sora confirms she is indeed that model, taking her hand excitedly and declaring that he is now her biggest fan. When Anubis notices the gift box, he asks about it. Sora tells him it is from the festival. The other creatures then pull Anubis away, complaining that Sora never took them to the festival. He quickly realizes they are all upset for missing out and begin pretending to be angry. Koni jumps to strike Tezuki but fails, while D tries to explain to Baku that it wasn't intentional. Still, Baku leaps to slap him. Essa moves closer and embraces him, but he shows no reaction. Sora begins, staring at the box and tells them of a legend, that large boxes may sometimes hide dangerous things. Everyone grows tense and uncertain as he hesitantly opens it. But inside, they discover festival costumes. One by one, everyone puts on their kimono. Tezuki remarks that no one would have imagined the box would contain so much. Tezuki asks where the outfits came from, and it is revealed she already had them from her work. Soon, all the spirit creatures appear in their outfits, amazed at how cute each one looks. For a game, D ties a thread to Baku, who dashes forward to pull a cloth, but the cloth flies from his hand, revealed to be a magical one. Next, Tezuki prepares to play the shooting game, yet the target suddenly begins moving. Just as he is about to fire, Koni interrupts to try first but misses, then turns her frustration on Tezuki, hitting him instead. Muan tries next, but ends up striking himself instead of the target. Now Tezuki takes his turn, landing every shot, without missing once, earning an unexpected victory. Everyone bursts into laughter when Koni puts on one of the masks, which looks strange and hilarious. Afterward, the dragon attempts to win a balloon with bait. He tries to pull the orange one, and Essa helps, but together they end up pulling down all the balloons tied to it. Essa praises him, calling it great work. Anubis asks Sora to place one in his mouth, but when he tries to bite it, the balloon pops loudly. Sora laughs, while Tezuki throws a towel over his head. The two sit in the corner, watching the others enjoy themselves. Muan approaches Sora, who feels at peace in the moment. He tells everyone he wants to stay with them like this forever, suggesting they all take a trip during summer vacation. D eagerly proposes going to the beach, while Anubis prefers camping in the mountain. The spirit creatures grow excited at the idea. Tezuki looks at Sora and tells him they will be together forever. The next morning, Muan wakes up to Sora calling him for breakfast. The two bow their heads before eating. Muan begins to eat but spills water on himself. Seeing him struggle, Sora wipes him clean, asking if he is okay. Later, Muan helps Sora hang the laundry to dry and remove the dirt from the bedding. And the story ends here. We hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like the video if it brought a smile to your face. And tell us which spirit creature did you like the most.